The flickering candlelight cast long shadows across the room. I sat in the corner, clutching my coat tighter around me. A man entered, his face obscured by the dim light. He moved with an air of quiet authority, his presence commanding attention. This was Magistrate Halliwell, known for his sharp intellect and commitment to justice.
Magistrate Halliwell took his place at the head of the table. His eyes, though shadowed, seemed to pierce through the gloom.
A shiver ran down my spine. We were about to delve into a mystery that would test even the most discerning mind. His words, measured and precise, outlined the grim task before us. A murder had been committed, shaking the foundations of our peaceful town. The witnesses were a mixed bag, each with their own story, their own fears. A nervous maid spoke of strange noises and shadows in the night. A groundskeeper recounted a chilling encounter near the scene of the crime. Their words painted a picture of chaos and fear, their testimonies fragments of a puzzle we were yet to assemble. As each witness shared their account, the tension in the room thickened. The pieces of the puzzle were slowly coming together, but with each revelation, the picture grew more unsettling. The victim, a prominent businessman, had made many enemies, but who among them was capable of such a cold-blooded act? I listened intently, my mind racing. Each testimony added a new layer to the mystery, weaving a web of intrigue and suspicion. The weight of the situation pressed down on me, the gravity of the crime sending a chill down my spine. I felt a knot of anxiety tightening in my stomach, a sense of dread that I couldn't shake off. The maid's testimony was particularly unsettling. Her description of the muffled cries sent a shiver down my spine. I couldn't shake the image of the victim, struggling in vain against their attacker. The gardener's account only added to my unease. The shadowy figure he described sounded like something out of a nightmare. I glanced around the room, taking in the faces of the other witnesses. Fear, suspicion, and uncertainty were etched on their features. It was clear that this crime had shaken them to their core. I couldn't blame them. I was feeling the weight of it myself. The magistrate, however, remained an island of calm amidst the storm. His face, still partially obscured by the shadows, betrayed no emotion. His gaze was steady, his expression unreadable. He absorbed every word, every detail, his mind working tirelessly to piece together the truth. The moment arrived with a thud. The heavy oak doors creaked open, revealing a somber procession. Two men carried a shrouded figure, its lifeless form an unsettling presence in the small room. The magistrate, his face now illuminated by the flickering candlelight, remained stoic, his gaze fixed on the grim spectacle.
The air grew heavy, the silence deafening as the shrouded figure was laid out on a makeshift table in the center of the room. The faint scent of decay, a sickly sweet odor, permeated the air, causing my stomach to churn. The magistrate, his face now illuminated by the flickering candlelight, approached the body with a steady gait. With a slow, deliberate movement, he reached out and lifted the shroud, revealing the pale, lifeless face of the victim.
The sight sent a collective gasp through the room. Even the magistrate, for the briefest of moments, seemed to flinch at the sight. The victim's eyes were wide open, staring vacantly at the ceiling. Their face, once full of life, was now frozen in a mask of terror. A dark bruise marred their temple, a grim reminder of the violence that had been inflicted upon them. Section 5. The weight of evidence, justice, uncertainty, and lingering doubts.
The magistrate, with a surgeon's precision, began his examination. Every detail, every inconsistency was noted, dissected, analyzed.
His voice, sharp and clear, cut through the tense silence as he posed questions, demanding answers. The evidence, circumstantial though it was, began to paint a grim picture.
He carefully examined the victim's wounds, his fingers gently probing the bruised flesh. He noted the position of the body, the scattered objects nearby, his eyes missing nothing. His questions were sharp, incisive, cutting through the witness's apprehension and drawing out crucial details. "You say you heard a struggle?" he asked the maid, his voice devoid of inflection. "Can you describe the sounds you heard?"
The maid, her face pale and drawn, recounted the events of that night, her voice barely a whisper. She spoke of muffled cries, of furniture being overturned, of a heavy thud that shook the very foundations of the house. Her testimony though fragmented and laced with fear, provided a chilling glimpse into the victim's final moments. The gardener, when questioned, recalled seeing a figure running from the scene, their clothes stained with what he believed to be blood. He couldn't provide a clear description of the individual, but his testimony added another layer of suspicion to an already complex case. Section 6. Shadows of Doubt, the magistrate's verdict and its implications. The air crackled with anticipation as the magistrate prepared to deliver his verdict. His face, now etched with fatigue, remained an enigma, his thoughts hidden behind a mask of professionalism. The weight of his decision, the burden of justice, rested heavily on his shoulders. After what seemed like an eternity, he finally spoke, his voice echoing in the hushed courtroom.
Based on the evidence presented, I have reached a verdict.
A hush fell over the room as he announced his decision, his voice resonating with authority. The verdict, while not entirely unexpected, sent ripples of shock and disbelief through the assembled crowd. Justice, it seemed, had been served, but at what cost? The accused, their face pale and drawn, proclaimed their innocence, their pleas falling on deaf ears. The weight of the circumstantial evidence, coupled with the magistrate's astute observations, had sealed their fate. Section 7, A Mind Adrift, the protagonist's reflections and emotional turmoil. I left the courtroom, my mind awhirl. The magistrate's verdict echoed in my ears, yet something didn't sit right. The evidence, though damning, felt incomplete, like a half-finished story. Doubt gnawed at the edges of my thoughts, casting shadows on the seemingly clear-cut case. The image of the accused, their face contorted in a mixture of despair and defiance, haunted me. Were they truly guilty of such a heinous act, or had we, in our haste to deliver justice, condemned an innocent soul? The weight of the night's events pressed down on me, threatening to crush me under its weight. The horrors I had witnessed, the palpable sense of grief and despair that permeated the very air, left an indelible mark on my psyche. As I made my way home through the deserted streets, the shadows seemed to stretch and contort, taking on menacing forms. Every creak of a floorboard, every rustle of leaves in the wind sent shivers down my spine. I was a bundle of raw nerves, my senses on high alert. Section 8. The unanswered questions, lingering mysteries, and the search for truth. Sleep offered no escape. The events of the day replayed in my mind, each scene more vivid than the last. The magistrate's words echoed in the silence of my thoughts, but they offered no solace, no closure. I was left with more questions than answers, a nagging feeling that the truth was still out there, shrouded in darkness. Who was the shadowy figure the gardener had seen? What secrets did the victim hold that led to their demise? Was justice truly served, or had we merely scratched the surface of a deeper, more sinister plot? The questions swirled in my mind, refusing to be silenced. I knew I couldn't rest until I had uncovered the truth, no matter how unsettling it might be. I resolved to continue my own investigation, to delve deeper into the shadows that surrounded the case. I would start with the victim, retracing their steps, uncovering their secrets. I would talk to those who knew them, those who had reason to celebrate their demise. Section 9. Conclusion. The enduring impact of a dark night's encounter. The encounter with the magistrate had irrevocably changed me. It had opened my eyes to the darkness that lurked beneath the surface of our seemingly peaceful town. It had shown me the fragility of life, the swiftness with which it could be extinguished. And it had ignited within me a thirst for justice, a need to shine a light into the darkest corners of the human soul. The case, though officially closed, would forever remain open in my mind. It would serve as a constant reminder that the pursuit of truth is a perilous journey, one that often leads us down unexpected paths. And it would fuel my determination to ensure that no crime, no matter how carefully concealed, would ever truly escape the reach of justice. The experience had left an indelible mark on my soul, a constant reminder of the duality of human nature. It had shown me that even in the darkest of times, there is always hope, always a flicker of light that can guide us through the shadows. And it had instilled in me an unwavering belief in the power of truth, a truth that, though often elusive, is always worth fighting for.